The Florida Gators football team can have similar success to that of the basketball team this year.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free wherever you listen to the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Wednesday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work for New York Giants on SI. And I do think that the Florida Gators football team can replicate the success of the basketball team. Not that I necessarily am expecting that, but I don't think many people expected the Florida Gators basketball team to be national championship contenders. I know going into the year, I was thinking, hey, Sweet 16 was what I thought would happen. I, of course, bet on Final Four and national championship, as I do always, but Sweet 16 is what I was expecting to happen. And the Florida Gators football team, while I'm not saying that they should be national championship contenders, I do think that it's reasonable to say this is a playoff team, partially because it should be, right? I've been saying for a long time, I think roster-wise, talent-wise, I think they're there. It's just a matter of coaching catching up to the talent, which there have been some coaching changes that can help Florida get to that area. I am still not fully convinced that Billy Napier will be calling plays. I've said this since Russ Callaway got promoted to offensive coordinator, where I do think that there's a genuine possibility that Billy Napier will give up play calling. I've said I think that they're spending spring ball and probably some of fall camp with Russ calling plays and scrimmages and all that, and basically just saying, hey, Russ, if you do well, if we like what you're doing, if we like the way that you're operating here, that you're calling plays, then we'll give you play calling duties. That's been the way that I've said I've seen it. I'm not saying Russ is going to call plays. I'm not saying Billy's going to call plays. But I do think that that matters for the success of the team. One of the things that I think gives myself and many Florida Gators fans a lot of confidence when we're talking about this team in 2025 is not just the returning production, but the returning talent, right? Because there were some players who weren't necessarily productive in 2024, but should be in 2025 or could be in 2025 that are talented. And so that's why I'm saying returning talent as well. Let's also acknowledge 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen from 2024 are back in 2025. You've got Austin Barber at left tackle, Najee Harris at left guard, Jake Slaughter at center, Damian George at right guard, and then right tackle is a spot where you've got a competition going, which we could talk about a little bit in the next segment, I guess we'll talk about. But it's still that continuity, that kind of chemistry is huge for the potential success of that line, right? I've said so many times, I will continue to say that for me, when I talk about when I talk about the success of an offensive line, it's oftentimes not about the success of an individual, right? Sure, Florida has Jake Slaughter, who's an All-American center. Sure, Florida had Osiris Torrance, who is an All-American guard and second-round pick in the NFL draft. That's not what makes the line good, right? I've said I grew up a New York Giants fan. I saw them win 2 Super Bowls, and both times that they did it, the offensive line played stellar, but it wasn't just chock full of all-pro Hall of Fame talent, right? It was guys with chemistry that can play as a unit, that can play as one solid piece, which is why the whole 5=1 thing that Florida has on the hat that Rob Sale throws at everybody and people like to make jokes about, it makes sense. 5=1. Those 5 linemen equal 1 unit, and they have to play as one mind. And being able to do that is huge. And so I think that having that much of your offensive line returning with whoever is your starting right tackle, that's a player that's been here. They didn't go into the portal to add linemen. They didn't do that. They just went, hey, we've got our group. We're going to add them. And so whoever it may be has been here, has worked with the rest of this team, especially because last year Brandon Crenshaw-Dickson was dealing with some minor injuries throughout the season, and that allowed other players to get reps at right tackle. That allowed Bryce Lovett, Caden Jones to get reps at right tackle. The Florida Gators rank 18th in the country in returning production, according to ESPN. And on Florida's schedule, only Texas A&M has more returning production. I'm not saying just in the country, just on Florida's schedule, only Texas A&M has more returning production. 71%. Florida's at 66%. Okay. So when you look at just that returning production, Florida's got a lot of it, and continuity matters. You look at history, and even throughout the history of the transfer portal, teams that have returning production tend to be very successful. Okay. Teams that have that returning production tend to be successful there. Florida last year, or we'll say even the past 2 years, Florida has played a lot of freshmen and sophomores, right? We've seen, and they haven't been starting, but they come in, they play 10, 15 snaps per game, and that's enough to get some kind of chemistry. That's not enough to truly say if you're a good football player or a bad football player. Those 10 to 15 snaps per game, that's not a large enough sample size. Even over the course of a season, that's not a large enough sample size to say that we definitively know anything about a guy being proven or not. And there's going to be people that disagree with me. That's fine. I don't care. This is my show. So that's how we're going to talk about it. But those players that left now, right? The Jason Marshalls, the Brandon Crenshaw-Dicksons, the Shamar James, those guys are now being replaced with players that have played before. This isn't throwing someone into the fire that's never touched the field before. This is, hey, this starter left, this key contributor left, this rotational player left, whoever it is, that is going to be replaced with people that have been practicing with this team, that have been rotating. And so you see guys that have had rotational roles in the past, a Jaden Robinson backing up Pup Howard, Shamar James last year, going to be starting this year. You see that. We'll use linebacker as the bar here, right? Last year, your starting linebackers, when healthy, Pup Howard, Shamar James. Okay? Shamar's gone. Shamar's gone to the NFL. He's got a pro day tomorrow that he's probably going to do pretty well at. He's had a great pre-draft process. So you've got Pup Howard, Shamar James. Shamar is gone. Last year, rotational linebacker, as in the rotational linebacker, the linebacker that saw the most snaps that wasn't a starter, Jaden Robinson. And so Jaden Robinson will now fill Shamar James's role. And we know what Jaden Robinson brings to the table. So we feel pretty comfortable looking at saying, hey, yeah, we lost a starting linebacker, but we're replacing him with a quality linebacker. And we feel comfortable enough calling him quality because we've seen him play a lot. Okay, Jaden Robinson's gone. Who's going to fill his role? Miles Graham, Aaron Childs. You're going to see those, Ty Jackson, someone. But if it's Childs or Graham, we've seen them play. Pup Howard gets to take on a different role because Miles Graham is going to be able to play that Mike role this year. So looking at the guys that are coming in that you're expecting production from, it's not people that we haven't seen before. It's not first-year players. It's guys that we've seen in limited snaps, and now they're just expected to take on not even significantly larger roles. Like Jaden Robinson's not going to play, another 400 snaps because he's starting now. He's going to play another 100, 200 because he played a good bit. And then the rest will go to whoever is going to be directly behind him or directly behind Pup. So that's why I feel pretty confident with the returning production and talent, because we know generally what's coming back, even if Florida lost a starter or a key contributor. We know generally who's coming back. We know generally what they bring to the table. And for Florida, that's big for their success. And again, history tells you that teams with returning production, returning talent, should be successful when it's good talent. And Florida, returning damn good talent. We're going to talk about another key factor for the success of this team when we get back with Locked On Gators. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House, whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest in product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Join the Trade Master program today for free at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. And in this segment, we're talking about the premium positions, right? We spoke about this a week or two ago. We went through the Florida Gators roster and we talked about who they have as present building blocks, pillar positions, premium players, whatever you want to call it. We spoke about that. It's quarterback, it's pass catcher, mostly receiver, or an elite Kyle Pitts level tight end. Offensive tackle, pass rusher, outside cornerback, right? And pass rusher does not just mean edge rusher. It could be an interior pass rusher as well, because as you know, and as we've talked about before, the quickest way from point A to point B is a straight line, and the interior quicker than the edge. But when you look at quarterback, Florida has their player that we know is good, right? DJ Lagway. Everyone knows he's good in Gator Nation. And if you're not in Gator Nation, you probably think he looked pretty good. He's got all the tools, but I need to see him healthy. That's typically been how non-Florida fans have felt about DJ Lagway in my experience. I don't fault you for feeling that way, right? DJ wasn't awesome. I've said that. I don't think he's been awesome. I think he was good for a true freshman. I think he showed a lot of things that most true freshmen don't show. But I do think that he's got room to grow. And it's asinine to say that he doesn't. Right? Like you're just lying to yourself and whoever you're talking to if you say DJ doesn't need development or growth. And he would benefit from getting that, not in only game situations. But as far as your quarterback, you're going to, and again, for those of you who are new here or haven't seen the pillar position episodes before, there are generally 5 positions that are thought of as the premium positions, the pillar positions, the building block positions, whatever you want to call them. Quarterback, receiver, offensive tackle, pass rusher, outside corner. And the thought is, if you are good at these positions, then you will be a good team. You will be a successful team because those are the most impactful positions in football. So quarterback, Florida's got their good player there. Receiver, Florida's got J. Michael Sturdivant as a proven quality receiver. You've got Tre Wilson, who I don't think is a proven quality receiver, but I think he's a proven dynamic threat anytime he touches the ball. And I only say he hasn't been a proven receiver through no fault of his own, but we haven't seen him run routes. I can't say he's good at something we don't see him do or we haven't seen him do yet. So I think that when you look at the receiver room, first off, a lot of teams now want to have more than just one good receiver. Look at the Bengals, right? They're putting it all in on QB and 2 receivers. That's it. And so when we look at receiver, I think Florida's got J. Michael Sturdivant as their proven good one. Production wasn't there. You look at the film, he's really good. You look at who the quarterback is, and you kind of see why production fell off at UCLA. So you got him. Tre Wilson, again, very productive, but we haven't seen him run many routes. I think he can do it. Based on how he moves, I think he can be a really good route runner. But then you also look at the rest of that room, and you've got youth and speed throughout. And I don't just mean, oh, yeah, you got Dallas Wilson and Burnell Brown. I mean, like, you've got Aiden Mizell. You've got Tank Hawkins. You've got TJ Abrams. You've got Nate Montgomery. You've got Muiz Tonkaras coming in about 2 months. You've got a lot of youth and a lot of speed in that room. And I didn't name everybody, I know. But you've got a lot of youth and a lot of speed in that room. I think Florida's really good at receiver. It is. Offensive tackle. I think Austin Barber is a good offensive tackle. I don't think he's a great offensive tackle. Specifically at left side, I think he could be really good at right tackle. I think that long term he'll be a right tackle, but I'm not here to talk about the long term. We're here to talk about winning football games this year. Austin Barber, think he's primed for a step. I am fully bought in on what Jonathan DeCoster has been doing developmentally. Like you look at the clips that they post, and it's what some of the best offensive lines in football do. I'm bought in. You look at the right side, and it's going to be likely either Caden Jones or Bryce Lovett. And while we're on the topic of long term, I think Bryce Lovett long term will be a guard. I think that whenever the NFL looks come, it's going to, like, let's say he's starting at right tackle for the next 2 years. Whenever the NFL looks come, they're going to look at him as a guard. Okay. So I think Caden Jones, more of a Caden Jones fan myself. Again, I just think that he's got all of the traits that you look for in a franchise tackle. The traits. He's still got work to do, but I think he's got the traits of a franchise tackle. Still needs a lot of development. But as far as the athletic traits, the height, the weight, the size, the verified speed, as they say, the footwork, like he could do everything. It's just about actually developing him. I've got no issues with either of them. I can't say that they're good. I'm not going to say that they're proven good players, but promising. I think you got one good offensive tackle. Ideally, you get two. Pass rusher, Caleb Banks. If he plays anything close to how he finished the year, he's going to play himself into the day one conversation. And the biggest knock will be, hey, he's been in college for a few years. He's older in the draft class. Maybe that'll hurt him. Kind of a Darius Alexander from Toledo this year, 25-year-old defensive tackle that dominated. But the big question is, well, 25. Do you want to invest a first-round pick or a second-round pick in someone that old at this point? So Caleb Banks is the proven player. Tyreek Sapp and George Gums, acceptable names. Again, I think that the pass rush didn't turn on until Caleb Banks turned on. So for me, it's just tough for me to go, yeah, they're all proven when they weren't doing the damage until Caleb Banks did his damage and opposing offensive lines started focusing more on him. So I will say that for the proven good player, first off, proven good player is all three of them. Okay. But as far as the proven good pass rusher, I think Caleb Banks is that. I think Tyreek Sapp and George Gums very talented. And they benefit from it, and that's not a bad thing to say. It's just saying that I think Caleb's the best pass rusher of the three. And I don't think many people would argue with that. So I'm sure someone in the comments will. You can. I don't care, but you can. And corner, that's the thing where they don't have someone. That's it. Just plain and simple. People will argue Devin Moore. Devin Moore is a very good football player, but here's the thing. The best ability is availability, and Devin Moore has never been consistently available. So even if he's really good on film, I can't say he's a building block player because he hasn't been available. Dijon Johnson could be really good. He needs to clean some things up. He got beat quite a bit, even if he wasn't forced to pay for it. He got beat quite a bit. And I think that's a test of ball knowledge of, well, they didn't throw it to him. It doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Yes, it does, because a better quarterback will throw that ball. Cormani McLean, all the tools to be an elite, like first corner off the board. All the tools to be that. Needs a lot of development, needs to learn the defense, because there were clearly times, if you watch on film, where he was just completely out of whack in 2024. Like, he just didn't know his assignment, which I'm not going to kill him for, right? He joined in the summer. He was only there for a few months. I'm not going to blame you for not knowing a defensive playbook. But I will say that that's part of why I can't say he's a proven good player, because he hasn't proven anything. You redshirted last year, so he needs to work there. We are going to talk about the schedule for 2025 when we get back with Locked On Gators. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, ordering, online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the bracket breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
To wrap up today's episode of Locked On Gators, we are talking about the schedule for the Florida Gators. Because I will say this, and I've said this before, I think that the Florida Gators schedule in 2025 is going to be easier than the schedule was in 2024, right? And looking at the schedule in 2024, I think that for me, the big thing is that there were no breaks. That was always my thing. That was always the calling card for me for the 2024 schedule, was not that you were playing the top teams. You were, but it wasn't about just playing the top teams. It was that you did not have any stretch where you were playing bad teams back to back, right? Samford in week 2, sure, but that was sandwiched between Miami and Texas A&M. Mississippi State, sure. Mississippi State, UCF ended up not being great, but also they weren't horrible, awful teams completely. And again, we're talking about before the season, how we were looking at it. We're not talking about hindsight. And before the season, UCF was thought to be that they had a chance to be pretty good. So I think that when we were talking about before the season, it was Miami, Samford. So it was difficult, easy. Texas A&M, difficult. Mississippi State, easy-ish. UCF, thought to be pretty decent. So difficult. Tennessee, difficult. Kentucky, weren't really sure what they would be, but still SEC, they always play tough. Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State was I thought they were going to be way better than they were. I didn't think they'd be a college football playoff team at all, but I thought they'd be better than they were. And so when you look at the schedule prior to the year, that was my thing, was that there were no stretches of, hey, you've got bad teams back to back. You've got easy matchups back to back. And here, Florida, you could look at the first 2 games of the schedule and you go, okay, you've got easier games. Long Island University, the Sharks going to Gainesville. That should be a massacre, right? FCS program, that should be a massacre. USF, good for a G5 team, but there is no G5 team that should be able to hang with this Florida Gators roster. At LSU, at Miami, tough games, right? Both those teams should be pretty good. I don't think LSU's, I think right now they're expected to be like top 8 ranked. I don't think that should be the case. But they're there. I think a lot of that just comes down to brand, Brian Kelly, Garrett Nussmeier. So you got LSU, Miami, Texas, at Texas A&M, tough games, four really tough games in a row there. You got Mississippi State, should be an easier game. You've got Georgia, Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky just looks like a mess right now. But I know that they're going to come out and they're going to play tough and they're going to play physical and they're going to do that. But my God, they look bad right now on paper. Then Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. Florida State, we don't know what they're going to look like. No one knows what they're going to look like because practices are closed. So you can't even watch them. So I think that when you look at the 2025 schedule, I think it looks easier than 2024. And I understand, yes, in 2025, there's more away games, right? Because in 2025, you go away to LSU, away to Miami, away to Texas A&M, away to Kentucky, away to Ole Miss. And that's it. Every other game is home or neutral site, being the Georgia game. Every other game, home. I get that there's more road games, but the only place that I think strikes fear in people's heart is LSU. That's it. I don't think that when you look at this schedule, I don't look at any of these places and say, that's going to be a tough place to go in and win. All right, LSU, Death Valley, a place that's not easy to go and win for anybody, even if you're a great team. It ain't easy to go, and Florida in particular has had a really rough go there for the past like decade. They've had a tough go at LSU because LSU, they usually get the games late at night, and those tend to be especially rocking. I look at the Miami game, and I'm not saying, I'm not doing the rent a stadium thing. I'm just saying an in-state game, Florida typically travels well regardless. So an in-state game, probably going to be a good Gator presence there. So I'm not saying neutral site. I'm not making that joke either, but I am saying that I don't think that home field is as advantageous there, or is going to be as advantageous there. Texas A&M, for me, it's honestly, I just got to see them do it at Texas A&M. I just need to see them actually go out there and play damn good football on their home turf, because I feel like in the past, 5-ish years, they haven't been nearly as scary as they've been. You look at 2022, Billy Napier's first season, and that was the one road game that they won, was Texas A&M. Billy Napier has historically struggled on the road. Yeah, that's the best reason for anybody saying that this schedule is tougher is not where you're playing away. It's that you are playing away, and Billy Napier-led teams have typically struggled on the road. That's a totally fair argument. But you look at that first year, and you're winning and won at Texas A&M. You didn't have a good team. Texas A&M wasn't awesome. I get that, but you didn't have a good team, and you went in there and you won at Texas A&M. I gotta see it. I'm just gonna be honest with you. Especially AR also was in particular really bad on the road in 2023, and again, 2022, and again went out there, played fine, played decent, and he was really bad on the road. Hell, he was bad at home some games. So I think that for me, when I look at the road schedule, doesn't scare me. Kentucky, they'll probably make it their homecoming game or something. Still wouldn't scare me. And then Ole Miss, you got beat by Billy last year, Lane. Let me see you beat Billy this year, or shut the hell up. It's as simple as that. I just got to see it from them as well. Still love calling that victory over Ole Miss. Still love that. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators basketball. We are hoping to be joined by Tre Moore of Locked On Terps to preview that game. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work for New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.